Want to learn how you can set up contracts, invoices, proposals, all in one place? Even when you create a proposal, how can it automatically then turn into a quote, an invoice for payment? Well, we're going to cover all of that today. We're going to share screen. I'm going to walk you through how to set it all up and manage it all in one place. But as always, before we kick off, we're going to start with our theme song countdown, and we'll be back in 3.5 while we wait for all our VIPs to join us in the room.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine. Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine.
Welcome to our weekly strategy with Sally. I'm Sally Sparks Cousins. If we have not yet met, I love to help people automate all of those repetitive tasks to free up the business owner to spend more time doing what they love, which is helping people, right? More human to human connection when we've got automation set up in place. And today, what we're actually discussing is contracts, invoices, proposals, estimates, all that stuff that goes out before the customer says yes. So before we even jump into the software and I start showing you how to actually set it up, it is really important to begin with understanding what your customer journey is. Are you required to send out an estimate or a proposal first? Does it need to be signed or approved first before the official contract then gets sent out? Is every contract different than, like, you've got to change names inside them and so on? And then with your invoices, do the invoices need to be reoccurring, or are they a one-off, or are they payment plans? So once you know all of that, then you can jump on in and start building out your estimates, your proposals, your contracts, and also included in that is setting up invoicing for payments. Now, a lot of business owners I see tend to lose a lot of time using lots of different scattered tools, but we're going to show you how to do that inside of OmniSAM, where you're going to be able to use that one tool for everything, from that proposal or estimate right through to accepting payments. All right, so what is your journey? Let's write it out together now. Come on, a little bit of GSD. Do you first send a proposal? If so, write it down. Or is it an estimate that gets sent out first? Or do you just go straight into a contract? So is that the first point? And then once they've signed the contract, then is the invoice issued for them to actually make payment? And then once they make payment, how are they going to make payment? Will it be through Stripe, PayPal, bank deposit, right? What payment method will you accept? And then after that, of course, you would move them into onboarding or whatever steps that they need to take. But we're just talking about that sort of quote or invoice or proposal through to sending out the invoice today. So those steps, we want them to be really connected and also create visibility so that you know who you're waiting on, who needs follow-up, and who's paid, right? So let's jump on over and do the good stuff now and send them, share screen with you, to show you how to actually build this out inside of OmniSAM. So inside of OmniSAM, on the left-hand side, you're going to come down to money. Actually, in this demo account, I've changed, not money, sorry, payments. You're going to come down to payments. All right, so under payments, along the top, you're going to see a few different menus. So the first one we see here is all invoices. So you can get an overview of all your invoices. You can get an overview of your reoccurring invoices that are sent out on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly, or even yearly basis. You can create your own templates to make it easier for you in the future. Your estimates or proposals both fall under estimates. And then you can actually sync this into Xero or QuickBooks, I think is another one. So we will click through all of these in a moment and have a look. Then under this one, documents and contracts, this is where you will see all of your documents and contracts, and also you can build out your own templates. So let's begin at the very top here and head into settings. So this is what we need to do before we even start sending out any of these. We need to make sure that they look branded. So we're going to click on settings. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to fill in all of this information. So we're going to upload our logo. So I'm just going to go into my brand board, see if my logo's in here, and upload my logo into here. As you can see, it's a little squished. So I will use the recommended size of 350 by 180, a blank document inside of Canva with custom size, which is 350 by 180 pixels. Then I'm going to go into my branding, pull in my logo, stretch it out to the full size, center it, and then I'm just going to save that as a PNG. Once saved, I'm then going to add it into my brand kit, upload file for my logo. And now we don't have a squished logo. Excellent. All right, so now we have our logo. Now you name your account, pop in your phone number, your address, and even your website. So we're just going to put our website in here, omnisam.com.au. And because we're in Australia, I've created a custom field for an ABN. So if you need to put a particular tax number on it, like a VIN number, I think it is in America, let me show you how to create that custom field. So under settings, we're going to go down to custom values. On the left-hand side, custom values, you will create an ABN custom value. So name, ABN, and the value, I'm just going to put ABN : and then my value. And then this will automatically show up. Whatever value I put in here is what will show up on the form. Now, if you want to add additional custom values, you certainly can, and then choose them. Now, let me show you once I click update. Now, when I come over here, that custom value that I've selected, that will be the text that I put in the value. So you can have as many different custom values as you want on it, and you'll be able to see in the preview shortly where that will actually show up. So once we've done the business information and clicked save, oops, it's got to be : / that would work. Then we move down into email configuration. So when we're sending out an invoice, we want it to say OmniSAM, and we want it to come from our billing email address, which is billing@OmniSAM. Now, you don't need to have a separate billing account. It can just be your normal business email account, but this is what they will see when it hits their inbox. The next section is title, terms, and layout. Do you call it an estimate or do you call it a proposal? So in there, you would write down what you would call it. We actually call it a proposal. If there's any notes regarding the proposal, so for example, what we would say is, once you accept this proposal, an invoice will be issued, because we can automate that. Then your invoice, well, it's just called Invoices. Here, we like to put in our payment terms. So just bear with me while I go and grab my payment terms from our actual account. Oh no, I won't put it in because it's got my BSB number and we're live streaming. So up here, I usually write, thank you for choosing us here at OmniSAM. Click the pay button above to pay by Visa, or prefer bank deposit, and then I enter my bank deposit. Please use the invoice number as a reference. Thank you for your business. So that's what I would normally put in the bottom. So I'm just going to put some test text here so that you can see how that will show up. And here, proposal, text test here. Just so when we go and view the invoices, you'll be able to see what it looks like. So we're going to click save on that. Now what we can do is we can preview what they will look like. So here is where you will customize your invoice. So here's our little logo that was added, but you can also add in your own branding colors here. So we're just going to play with some colors, and you will see that if we put a red line there, let's not make it red, blue there. Do you want it to say pay on the button, right? The business information, do you want to show the name of the account, the phone number, all of these? You can choose what you want. And then at the bottom there, see that extra custom field I put in there? That's where the ABN shows. So if you want to add in any other additional information, then you would here put in additional custom fields. Now, while I'm looking at this, it's got address, state, all on separate lines. So one thing you could do is create a custom value that these are more on a single line, right? If you don't like that layout. Then at the bottom here, contact information, which is all of this information that pulls in from the contact or from your billing information. And again, any additional fields that you want to put in here, for example, enter the name that they were referred by, right? You don't need to, but again, just the same as this section at the top here where you can add in additional fields, under build to as well, you can add in additional fields there. All right, then across here to the labels, we call them item name. Did you have something else that you wanted to call it? Price, quantity, maybe you bill by hours, so maybe it's hours. So it's up to you how you want to call each of these sub labels. And then that's it. That's your template, all branded. You would save changes and then click back. Awesome. All right. So now we've done the layout. Now what we do is we set up your payment settings. So when you create one of these, does the estimate or proposal expire in a certain amount of days? Do you want the prefix before the number to be estimate or proposal? It's up to you what you put there. And then these numbers automatically get populated, number 1, 2, 3, 4 as you continue to make them. When is the invoice automatically due? Now, all of these we can change when we're setting up the invoices, but these are the defaults, right? So normally would you give them a 14-day or a 7-day turnaround between getting the invoice and actually paying the invoice? Manage default Stripe payment methods. Okay, we will get into that, but this is linked to your workflow. So we're just going to skip over that one. There's no need to actually go in and do anything there at this time. Now, allowing partial payments. This is if, for example, you send them an invoice for $1,000 and you say to them you can pay it off over time, and then they can jump in and do $20 and then $100. So they can do small payments against it. You can have it set on as a default, or you can actually set it up when you're building out the invoices later. Are you going to charge for late fees? So 1% every day, but you give them a grace period. Again, we'll come down to that. And then any tips on making payment, allowing customers to tip. So do you want to give them, allow them to 5% tip? Now, here in Australia, we don't do tipping, but some places do, but most people don't do tipping. But if you do, then you can add in your standard tipping amounts. Then, of course, we click Save. Now, your product settings, when you build your products, you will name the product, but you can also put in a description of the product. If you want the invoice to also pull in the description, then you would turn that on. You can edit it later. So if the description's too long, you can certainly edit it, but I think it's good to have it on. And then making the product description optional. Choose whether the product description is shown by default or hidden, and they can click show, which I quite like. Now, in regards to your reminders, you can choose, I think it's 3 different reminders. And it looks like, you can add even more in. So when do you want your reminders to go out? Do you want it to be sent every 3 days before the invoice is overdue? The sending time, then the second reminder could be 1 hour before it's overdue. The third could be 7 days after. But you can, again, program this yourself to when you prefer to send out those reminders. I just like to leave them at default for now. Now, the billing field, this is where you can add in custom values on, again, that one that we saw earlier. See how it's just popped in here at the bottom? But we would have built that when we set up the original, but this is just another field that you can come in and add in those custom values if you want, but we would have done it up here in, I think it was the terms and layout. Now, the reminder notifications, this is what you want them to see. So invoice company name is what they'll see, an invoice received, then estimate received, and then estimate received. So there's really not much you want to do in here unless you want to change some wording, but have a look through but most of those I just go with the default. And then to preview what it looks like, each of these have their own template. So you can come in here and you can customize the template to be branded. So at the moment, you can see this doesn't look very OmniSAM, right? So I'm going to come in and I'm going to customize this to have OmniSAM colors, and I'm going to add in the logo, upload from library, social branding assets, logo. So we've got the logo at the top here, the background image, which we have right. See, you can see this little blue section on the outside here. We can also set that via, where's the background? Oh, up the top here. So
at the top.
Yeah, appearance. So you can choose what background color do you want, or do you want a background image? So we actually have an image that we use, and I'm not sure if it's actually going to be in this demo account, but it is I don't know. Let's have a look. Nope, it's not in here, but it's a colored background. If you look at this video, see the background in this video? That's what the colored background looks like. But just for, let's just go and grab a random social post so you can see what I mean. So you can pop that and you can see that's popped into the background. That's not our branding and that's quite ugly, but you can do that in the background of the invoice as well. Come through each of these sections down the side. Just check them. Are they your colors? Forget that. Mobile formatting, right? Check them both in the mobile and the desktop view. Once you're happy with the default invoice, click Save. Then move down to the email. So for estimate, and again, we're going to brand this, and you will work your way through each of these templates. Click on the preview button, modify them, brand them, and once you're done, you're done. Okay, so you don't have to come back and do it later. And then inside of the team notifications, this is the emails that go out to you to advise you that someone successfully paid, someone's payment has failed, an auto payment has failed, auto payment was skipped, invoice could not be sent. So these are just all internal notifications that you will receive if something goes wrong with that payment or goes right and your payment is successful. So again, the same as before, you can click the preview if you want to, brand and customize it. Really, you're just not going to change a lot of anything other than a logo and maybe a background image and a few colors. All right, so that's how you will work through your settings. Once you've done all of your settings, then you are ready to start moving into actually using documents and contracts and estimates. So let's talk about the differences. So your reoccurring ones, they're for ones that need to be sent out on a regular, monthly, weekly, fortnightly, or annual. Your templates are where you will build in your invoices and your estimate templates. I recommend that you do start building a new template and then you can edit and use that template. We'll be building one together soon. And then when we come into estimates, we can view here, what's in draft, what's been sent, accepted, declined, and sent off to be paid. And these are all the things that you can sync. So you can sync your QuickBooks, your Xero, or Wave directly in here. So when you're creating things in here, it will automatically sync across to those places. All right, so documents and contracts. Think DocuSign, HelloSign, you can get rid of all of that. And in under documents and contracts, this is where you will build out those. Now, with the documents and contracts, what is it? I think it's your documents and contracts. Let's begin first by creating a invoice. So let's head to all invoices and we're going to click new. You have the option to create a new invoice, a new reoccurring invoice, or import from a CSV. We're just going to create a new standard invoice. Now, what you can see over here is, well, I didn't fill in all that information on that setting, so that's not showing up, but it should show up for you. What we do is, the first thing we do is we attach the customer to the invoice. It will automatically generate the next number. You will put in today's date if that's when you're issuing it, and it defaulted to 7 days because that's what we had in settings, but it's up to you to choose. Then you would add in your products. So, for example, we've got a couple of products here. We've got the t-shirt product, and you can see that there's a description in here. You can add in some words if you want to in your description. If the t-shirt already had a description, which it did, it automatically pulled that in. All right, so that's one product added. Now, if you want, you can even create products directly inside of the invoice. So, for example, if we were going to do an SEO audit, it is a service, and the pricing name is an SEO audit, $250. We select our tax category, so it's a service. And then if you want it to create a product that you can use in the future, you can just choose that and it will always be in there for you. So as you can see now, our products are starting to show up over here in the preview of the window. As we move on down, you will see here you can add in discounts via a percentage or a custom amount. So say we want to give them 50% off, it will automatically show over there. If you want tax to be included, so let's say that adds the GST tax on top of that price for us. And then down the bottom here, remember when I wrote the test text earlier in that setup? That's where you would have your terms and conditions for payment. So we say, thank you for using our service. Click the button above to pay, or if you prefer bank account, here's our bank account details. Now, those late fees, again, the defaults have come in here, but if you don't charge late fees, you can turn that off. And if you need to attach anything to this invoice, you can do so there. So that's how you set up just a standard invoice that you would then send out to people. You can preview that invoice to see what it looks like when they open it. All right. And then you can copy and send. Okay. So don't forget to name it. So we're going to say this is for an SEO audit for Deborah G. Okay. So then you would click send. Now, remember those templates that we created? You can see that templated emails there. That's going to get sent. If you've got your phone number connected, you can send both the text and the email and then click send. So what I'm going to do now is show you what that invoice looks like by going into that email account. Just bear with me while I get it open and remove any private confidential information. I did choose a very clean account to be able to show you. Yep. All right, let's bring that in here. So you can see OmniSAM demo account. So that would be OmniSAM in brackets, invoice received. Clicking on that, you can see how much it is. We click view invoice. And you can see here is everything that we saw in the preview. I can now click pay. And I can enter my credit card details and automatically make the payment. It's that simple. All right, so that's what they see on the other side of that preview. Now, you can see here, we can see that this and when it's due, so you can keep an eye on that. All right, so that's invoices. Now, in regards to estimates and proposals, it's very similar. You would still add a customer, but it is now an estimate. And if we just add in that SEO audit that we had before, everything else here is exactly the same. All right. But at the bottom, The difference is this little checkbox here. Once they approve the estimate or the proposal, it will automatically enable and send an invoice. And if you want them to be able to pay direct from invoice, you would turn that on. So let's hit that send button and let's see. Oops. Sending. Oh, what did I do wrong? I've left something out. Read the word, Sally. Try to do it too fast. New estimate. I'm just going to write Deborah. Okay. Now, what was the error? Oh, I had text. I don't have a phone number connected to this account. So just send as an email. All right, let's jump on over into the email. Now you will see that estimate has come in. We can view the estimate. Then at the top here, we can either reject or accept the estimate. So if I click accept and submit, then over inside of the account, you're going to see, and it will actually show you viewed, which I should have showed you before, but you can see here that it has gone out and it's now been invoiced. In between, it would have said sent, and then it shows you if they have viewed, and then it'll show you once they've accepted or rejected. Okay, and then if we jump on over to the inbox, you will see that the invoice has now come in for that accepted proposal, and we just take the same process that we did before for you or the client to actually make that payment. So there we go. That's estimates and invoices. Generally, they don't have contracts. These are great for like builders or tradies, things like that. Now, if you are somebody who has contracts that you need to send out, this is where we can build out an actual written contract. So if we come up here to new, and there's a couple of things you can do. If you already have an existing PDF, you can just upload the PDF. Now, I'm going to show you what that would look like. Problem is, it cannot be edited. So I'm just going to choose, give me a second, just a blog post that our staff are currently writing. All right, so I'm uploading that PDF. It's going to convert it into a document. And there it goes. And you can see this is our blog post, but it's turned that into a written post or a written document. All right. Now, with this, because it's a PDF, I believe nothing is actually clickable within that. Let's just double check on the preview, just so we can say for sure. Yeah, so any of those links and things that you have in a PDF will not be clickable if you use the PDF option. Now, let's say at the very bottom here, we want to get a signature. We've got all these, this is if we're building out a plain document, right? But let's say we just need a signature at the bottom. We can put the signature field in. Then we want them to fill in their name. So we can pop in a name field here, right? And we would just put over here, full name. So you would build out all the fields that you need inside of this document, all right? So when they send it or you send it, they need to fill in that required information. So that's all the fields that you can bring in regards to fillable fields. But if you are building a document out from the start, you can begin. Let's just delete all of this imported stuff. I'm just going to delete because it's not a great PDF. Delete, 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 delete. All right, and let's just create a plain page. So if you were building out your own template, you would bring in, so you might have in here, it's a proposal or a contract, right? You would put in all the words for the contract, and then you would put name, underlined, signature, right, underlined, date. Now, this is very, very rudimentary, right? But just so that you can see that you can build this out, including images, you can add in here as well. So if you had images that you wanted to put into the document, such as your logo, right? We will put the logo at the top. Then you've got your contract, all the words of the contract, and your signature. The other things that you can bring in is videos, page breaks, product list, and table. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Now, with the table, this one is how many, like an Excel table if you want. Then, let's just leave that in there for good purposes. And then you can also add in, just like an invoice, you can add in the product that you want them to buy. So let's say we're going to add in the SEO item. We can see it's $250, right? Now have a look here. On this left-hand menu, you get to choose, is this a one-time payment and this product isn't set up to be reoccurring, but if it's a reoccurring payment, we want to enable direct payment. So as soon as this contract gets signed, it will automatically generate an invoice, just like we saw before. But instead of coming from a proposal, it comes because of the signed contract. Now, this one here, enable auto payment. This is if you have multiple payments, so reoccurring payments. So whatever they put in as their payment details, every other reoccurring payment will happen automatically, right? Even though they'll get an invoice, the payment will happen without you needing to chase them. It will just happen automatically. All right, so back here to these ones here. So your page breaks as well. You'll see how this page can get really, really long. So the more things we add into this page, the longer it gets. I actually prefer to just use one long page, and then on the last page, I put the actual quote itself down here on a secondary page. But once they preview it, this will all show here as a one long page, but when they print it, see how it looks like one long page and then a secondary page? But when they print it, these little lines here on the left-hand side show you about where the A4 page cuts off and where it'll start printing that second page. So you can, make sure that you don't have important things that you want on the same page rolling over to the next page. All right, so that is each of these products and page breaks and videos. This is an overview of all the pages in case you want to move them around. Now here, this is, I just always leave this because it's automatically generated. Then here is where we set the signing order. Now just be mindful, the first primary contact that you choose, that is always going to be the primary contact. So whoever you put in that primary place will always stay there. And then if you've got additional people that you need them to sign, this is a sandbox account, so we don't have additional people. You can put in additional people, and then you can even choose which order they need to sign in. So if you need your client to sign first, then you would put them in there. And then if you need to sign, you would put you as the secondary set signing order, and it will make sure this one gets signed first before the secondary one. Now, there's a few little templates that you can use to help you build out your come on, Sally, brain work. You can build out your document or contract, but also this custom one. If we just come over here and we hover over these sections, there's this little save button here. So if you make a section that you know you're going to use on repeat, you can click Save to Content Library, label it, add to content library. And then when you're up here, you'll see your custom ones over here that you can drag in, similar to, if you were going to put, a team section inside of your contract. All right, now payments, we've been through that before, and then your settings. So everything that we did originally when you set up all of the master settings, they will automatically pull in here without you needing to do anything. But if you want to override what it says, feel free to click on those. If once they sign the document, you want them to go to a special thank you page, you can pop that in here. And if you need to attach any additional documents to the contract, you can do that here. So let's just attach something for fun. I'm just going to attach that little, oh God, we're not going to attach Lance Stroll. We're going to attach Daniel Ricciardo. If you're an F1 fan, you will know what I mean. I'm making a thing with my daughter about F1s. All right, so that's the attached document there. Now, let's do what we would do at the end of putting all of this together. We would click, oh, sorry, hang on, I've got to take you up to these 3 little dots. Here is where you can mark complete, for example, if the contract's been signed, if you want to download it. And this one is really good if you have now created something that you want to reuse again in the future. So you would click convert to template. Then moving forward, you would open the template and you'll see this additional button up the top here. If you open it directly as a template, it's already here, but you would choose use this template, okay? So I'm just going to click the back button to go back to where we were. Where are we? Yep. So that's how you'll create templates. All right, so let's move forward and actually send this thing, shall we? So here we have got to pop in those custom fields to sign. So we're going to collect the signature. We're going to choose, we don't want to see the name because they're going to type their name at the top there. We're going to put a text field in here and we're going to put in full name. And then you can attach it to a custom variable, which is a full name here. So what that will do is when they fill in that, it will link to this custom field on the contacts record. And then, for example, if you wanted to bring in an email address, you could do that as well. Then we've got date. So that, choose what date format you like to look at. So here in Australia, we do day, day, month, month, year, year. And then just so that you can see what signature is. So it's just a shorter version of the signature. And then the checkboxes are just what they are. They're checkboxes if you had anything that you wanted them to check that they have done, right? So you might have a couple of different checkboxes and then they need to check one of the two. So one might be, if we come into here, approval to use testimonials. And then you could go yes, no, right? And then they could check those boxes. Whoops. Like that. All right, so they need to select at least one. And then what else do we have here? Card details. We're not going to pull that in, but then they can actually add their card details in here, which will help you process payments. All right, so once we're happy with the contract, we've set the signer, we then click send. Oh, hang on, email confirm. Sender name is not required. Let's just have a look, because I checked those on during the demonstration, which we don't need. We don't want to override anything. Let's try again. Send document. So it'll just go out like this. We're going to click send and let's jump on over to the email and see what happens over there. So inside of the email, that will come in shortly. Let's give it a minute. Here it is. So demo account, name of contract, then view contract. And you can see here, there's my little picture of Daniel Ricciardo that I attached to the bottom. Oops, we're going to click view contract. And then you'll see here, this contract has 6 fields that are required. And then we can start filling out. Now, this can be done on an iPhone, an iPad, wherever you like. So we're going to just type in here, Sally Sparks Cousins. You can use your own script, or you can draw your signature. You can use a short, or you could do a short one here. And then today's date. Yes, I approve. Right, and we can see there's our contract there. And because we've already made a signature, it automatically fills that in. Sally Sparks. All right, so that's what they would see on the other end once they've done, finish, and complete. So now it's redirecting them straight to the payment screen. Because we had that product, they can make the payment. Or if they don't make the payment straight away, you will get a notification, or they will get a notification to say you have an invoice if they don't make the payment straight away. There we go. And then you'll get another notification in here shortly to let you know, actually it's over in a different account, to let me know that that contract has been signed. So there we go. That is documents and contracts. It's just one, building them up from templates to begin with. Now, the other contract that I wanted to share with you as well is you've got templates, which is the one that I just showed you. Public documents, these are documents that aren't linked to a particular person. So the other contracts were linked to a person to sign. This is a public link that you can send out to get people to sign. So, for example, if you just need them to fill in their name, address, and email and sign, and it's always exactly the same document, and all you need to do is send out a fillable link, which enables them to sign. A good way to think of this is like the documents that come from the ATO, from the tax office, right? They're all exactly the same, but you can, if you've got that original, say, PDF, you could create a public document. And then in that public document, we're just going to, bring in some text. Then let's say that there's a signature field over here, and there's, a text field that you need them to fill in, right? Once you have that public document saved, then on this public document, you can just come in here and you can click use this, and hang on, that's not it. Public document, where is it? Oh, it's not enabled. It's here. So you've got the share link, right? So you would be able to grab that share link, copy, and then they could come in straight into that document, fill in their name, their email address, so that it links to a contact record inside of OmniSAM. Once they fill in that information, it will automatically load that document, and then they just fill it in. So it's not linked to anybody at all, right? And then finish. And then that will automatically link into that contacts record. So if I was to go into contacts, into here, you'll see here that I've completed that document and it's automatically attached to the file. So there we go. That's documents and contracts. It's a very high level overview. But what I do recommend that you do is build out your templates, especially if you're a coach or you're a consultant and you are having the same contracts going out, then all you need to do is from that template, if nothing changes and it's always the same, then just use the public link. That way you can just send it and they can fill in their own information, their name, their address, their phone number, etc. If it does slightly change and you tweak it a little bit for each person, then make a master template, then use this template. You can go through and edit any, like for us, you know, sometimes we might discount somebody or give them an extra month, something like that. So we go through and just slightly tweak the template and send it that way. And then, of course, don't forget the power of adding in those products into your documents and contracts, because it automatically creates an invoice once signed. Or you could just go straight to invoices or proposals. All right, so hopefully that's super helpful for you. It's given you a very high level overview and a bit of inspiration to jump on in and start creating your own documents and contracts. It's going to allow you to be able to get rid of things like DocuSign or worrying about trying to sign things. Do you know what? I've even brought in things that I need to sign for other people just to make it easier for myself to actually sign stuff inside the account. And we know it's like legal as well, right? Because it does lock the document once it comes back signed. So there we go. OmniSAM, a great way for you to simplify your proposals, invoices, documents, and contracts, all inside of OmniSAM. All right, so as we head on out, we'll just do a quick check-in with Deborah, who's joined us. Deborah, a key takeaway from today?
Best is that it's all in one place.
Love it. Short, sweet, to
and
the point.
it's set out so beautifully. Like, I used to spend a lot of time thinking about how to design an invoice and just wasting time.
Yeah,
so
that's it.
that's
Once
brilliant.
you get into settings,
yeah.
most of it's all done from there on. So excellent, excellent. All right. We're going to head into Ask Me Anything strategy with Sally. So all of you out there on the live stream who always like to hang in and watch on the live and then head on over, come on over. The VOZ is open. And then we'll be kicking off our working 3-hour GSD session as soon as all of the questions are answered. Awesome, everyone. Have a fabulous day. As always, never let anyone dull your sparkle. And I will see you next week on Strategy with Sally. Bye for now.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art.